Welcome, everyone. If you just joined us on the live, go ahead and type in the chat where you're tuning in from, city and state. And I'm just going to go ahead and invite us all to take a deep breath here, whether you're watching this live or on the replay. Life is a little crazy right now. A lot of things are happening for us in the world, and I just want us to all take a deep breath. So go ahead and close your eyes. Let's get grounded and rooted here in this moment. Again, only if you're not driving. Close your eyes. If you want to, you can put your left hand on your heart. Make sure both feet are firmly planted on the ground. Let's come here now into the present moment. Go ahead. Inhale through the nose, belly expanding breath. Inhale, 4 counts. Go ahead. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the top. Sip in a little more air if you can. And then just let it all go. Sigh it through the mouth. That feels so good. Let's do that one more time. See if you can expand the belly ever further, even just 10% further in the chest as well. Go ahead, inhale at your own pace through the nose, count to 4. Holding at the top when you get there. Sipping in a little more air with the straw through the mouth if you can. And then when you're ready, sigh it out. Your eyes still closed. If they are closed, it doesn't matter either way. Whatever you're doing is perfect. Cultivating some gratitude for this moment. Honoring the time you made committed to watching this either live or the replay. And I want you to ask yourself, why am I here on this class right now? What am I hoping to glean? What am I hoping to create? What am I in this sacred exchange of giving my time to be here, to be present in this here and now? What do you hope to glean from this? What is your intention? Energy flows where intention goes. I want you to go ahead, take another quick inhale. Exhale, drop your hand from your heart if you had your hand there, just as a sign of completeness. And we'll go ahead and open your eyes. Beautiful. Thank you. I see Jeff actually already is one step ahead. Thank you, Jeff from San Jose. Type in the chat, guys, because I always like to play with whoever is here on the live, especially. I've got lots of content, but I want to know what you guys are here to receive today. Is there anything specific that you want to learn? Type in the chat. I'm going to actually take notes. Beautiful. Awesome. Anne has already had a conversation with me on a consultation call, and so she's starting to connect with the energy of Aya on this call. If you don't know what that means, I'll explain. Curiosity, beautiful. Thank you, Gloria. Anyone else want to share? Okay, cool. If anything else comes up, I want to bring a couple of awarenesses before we dive into the content. Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Susan. Excellent. So feel free to, and welcome, Amanda, I see you. If you want to type in the chat what your intention is, I'm just getting started now. So a little bit of housekeeping items. I would definitely take notes. I'm going to teach some content first, then I'm going to open it up for Q&A. So if you've never been on a webinar format before, or you don't know what the Q&A feature is, I'm asking you to chat in the chat now. However, that can become cumbersome later. So I want to dial you in to the Zoom bar at the bottom of your screen, where you should see something that says Q&A. So if you see that, that's where you can dial in and throw your questions, knowing that I'm not going to answer any questions until we get closer to the completion of my content. So I will share a little bit about myself. If you don't know me very well, I actually have a 17-year background in health and fitness. I was a marathon training coach. I was an Ironman triathlete. I coached walkers, runners, triathletes, as well as had a boot camp business, a nutrition business. Mental health is a passion of mine. I've coached over 10,000 people and getting off medications, diet, exercise, kitchen cleanouts, grocery store tours, detoxification programs, cleanse programs. However, along the way, I got really distracted. Becoming a mom and a wife were actually pretty traumatic for me, and I didn't know why at the time. And I spent about 14 years lost, dazed, and confused in my marriage, in my role as a mom, as well as an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur now for 23 years. And I have had major success, and I've had massive failure and everything in between. I've made multiple six figures, and I've been homeless. So I really have been, through bankruptcy and foreclosure and all of the fun stuff, right? And along the way, I got lost in the business world, especially surrounded by a lot of masculine energy, a lot of go, 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 do, sell, 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 push, push, push. And it came at a cost, because about 3 years ago, I hit rock bottom. I became a binge drinking workaholic, and I was dead inside. I actually wanted to die. I had about 10 friends commit suicide, and I actually thought that didn't sound like a bad idea. I was really not happy at all in my marriage. My husband was also very much working through a lot of his own numbing mechanisms and wounds. And we couldn't see the forest for the trees. And it was actually thanks to a spiritual mentor of mine who said, hey, I know you're making lots of money as a sales coach, blah, 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 but you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're going to be a spiritual teacher and healer, but you got to heal first. And so I was like, what? And he said, yeah, just go and work with psilocybin and ayahuasca, and your life will change. And I was like, okay. At that point, I had tried everything from psychotherapy, grief counseling. I'd lost both of my parents and my brother, by the way. So a lot of death in my life, and I never processed any of it. I never processed childhood trauma, being born in a mental institution hospital, having a schizophrenic mother. There was lots of shame in my small town around that. She tried to commit suicide many times. It made the front, page of the newspaper in our small town of 1,700 people in Iowa. So needless to say, I carried a lot of that in my body and never really let any of it go. And so I was white knuckling it through life. Can anybody relate to my story at all? Just curious if anybody's ever had any issues like mine. Feel free to type in the chat. I would love it if this was interactive, just so I know if you guys are connecting. Amanda, there's a recording. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it public or if I'm going to have it only for my subscription community or not. So just email me if you have any questions. You've had a dark night of the soul for sure. Cool. So, and everybody's going through it right now. Everybody's feeling it. So since then, since early 2021, I've sat over 60 times with ayahuasca, psilocybin, and psilohuasca. I've also sat with San Pedro twice. And I did a lot of healing. I did a lot of purging. I did a lot of cleansing. I released a lot of ancestral trauma, childhood trauma, transmuting it back into love, light, compassion. I'm no longer a binge drinking workaholic. I have a healthy relationship with alcohol, actually a sacred relationship. I'm not a fan of the thou shalt not model personally. That's just me. I knew that it wasn't the alcohol that was the problem. It was my wounds and my unprocessed grief and all of the stuck energies and candida and all of the things in my gut brain that were blocking me from really having healing in my head brain. And so once I purged a lot through ayahuasca, psilocybin, and psilohuasca, as well as a medicine, frog medicine called Kambo, which I'm now a Kambo practitioner, I decided to make this my life work. So leveraging the background of my health and fitness career and now adding the spiritual part, because to me, plant medicine, also known as psychedelics, is spiritual. Entheogens is another title for that. And so entheogen means finding that God spark within, going within to find our answers, as opposed to looking outside for that, coping mechanism or that person, place, or that course, right? How many of us have bought like 10 courses and then nothing changed in our life, right? It's because we've been programmed to be really good consumers and to go out there and buy stuff because we don't feel like we're enough on our own, right? And so plant medicines changed my life. And now my husband is a shaman. Funny story about this shirt. I ain't afraid of no ghosts, right? It's in honor of Halloween, but my husband is a ghost whisperer. That was a gift that he unearthed with the help of these sacred plants. So to say our lives have changed is an understatement. They've been radically shifted and transformed. And now we serve psilohuasca and deep dive ceremonies, private also. We do groups, privates, and also Kambo frog medicine for grief, addiction, and trauma, specifically childhood, ancestral trauma, they're usually connected, by the way, childhood and ancestral trauma. We come into these bodies and we have these traumas that just mirror mom and dad. Well, guess what? It didn't start with mom and dad. It went further back. And so history repeats itself. It doesn't have to. It can end with you. The cycles, the generational curses, whatever you call them. They got your attention in childhood, and now as adults, we're here, especially now in this 5D ascension age of Aquarius time that we're in. Everybody's having their stuff come up. I don't know anybody, unless they're not awake, that doesn't feel what's happening in the world right now. And microdosing is very trendy. Plant medicine is very trendy. And I've seen a lot of people, I don't want to say do it wrong, but not get anywhere with it, trying to do it themselves. So I actually, out of my own concern for people and safety and working with these medicines in a sacred way, I came out of the spiritual broom closet last year and started coaching people. So I've coached people with microdosing for over a year, helping them really truly go inward to heal mentally, physically, and spiritually, to remember who they truly are, to live a better, healthier, more spiritual and dynamic life. Because I believe we're both fully spiritual and fully human. That's just my belief. I'm not saying you have to agree with me, but part of all of this spiritual awakening and these dark nights of the soul that people are going through isn't by accident. And so my hope is today that I'll share with you some of the misconceptions about microdosing and plant medicine. And then I'm also going to share with you some educational tips. And I have lots of videos on my YouTube channel. I've done lots of education on my website. You can go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's many videos now that I've done to educate people on all of the benefits as well. And then I want to open it up for Q&A for you today. Thanks, Anne. I see you. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you, Susan. So this is what we're going to talk about. And I'll also share with you briefly. I have a microdosing community that launched on September 1st of this year. My vision is to help grow that, to help people heal in community. No one really, in my opinion, should be doing this kind of stuff on their own. So I'll mention that briefly at the end as well. I'm also the founder of the podcast and the Healthy and Wealthy and Wise movement, helping you go inward to find that innate wisdom within in order to, as within, so without. Our health challenges, our financial issues, our scarcity issues, relationship issues, they all start inside of us. And our friends, family, even, yes, our bank account are just simply mirrors of what's going on inside of us that's got to be healed, that's got to be looked at, that we're being called as a collective. Why do you think there's war going on in the Middle East right now? That's healing the collective, the getting rid of a lot of shit, pardon my French, that's been lying dormant and has been happening in our patriarchal system for about 5,000 years. And it's sad, it's devastating, and painful, but at the same time, it's also part of what's happening in the world. And so be the change you want to see in the world. The more you heal you, the more you make a difference out there. I think that's the true purpose of these plants making a comeback right now, is to help with us wake up and go within to heal. So here's my top 3 microdosing myths. I've seen so many misconceptions out there that I've written about on my blog and have talked about. Does microdosing, and of course also deep dives, we can talk about both if you want, does it really help with anxiety, sleep issues, meditation, focus, grief recovery, addiction, and spiritual health goals? So let's talk about that. From what I have seen, here's the number 1 misconception, and feel free to take notes. I don't have a lot of slides today, so I'm just going to be sharing with you. So if you again have questions, save them for close to like I'd say the 35 to 40 minute mark. I should be done, and then we'll just open it up for our Q&A. So now that I've coached well over 100 people this past year, and I've talked to probably hundreds of people, the biggest number 1 misconception I've seen is people think that microdosing plant medicine is enough to where you're going to have a trip, where you're going to see visuals, you're not going to be able to work or have a normal day or life. And that is absolutely not what microdosing is. So microdosing as a definition this is my definition, but also what I've been trained with my plant medicine mentors is, and what I've worked with my clients is 500 milligrams or less of psilocybin, San Pedro, peyote. There's a lot of different medicines out there. I'm more of a psilocybin and ayahuasca coach. I even have ayahuasca as an option, but that's only for advanced people because it's pretty intense. But 500 milligrams of psilocybin or less. And I also coach with ayahuasca Cappy Vine. And that's a tincture bottle, and that's 15 drops or less. And with that microdose, it's working behind the scenes. And I actually put them in 2 different camps now that I've worked with both. Exclusively psilocybin, I consider that more about cognitive function, head brain function. It does a little bit for the gut brain, but I find that it does really well for focus, sleep, memory. And I would also say that it can help with things like ADHD, and it can definitely help. It's a very small amount though, so you have to do it for a longer period of time to get lasting results. I do want to remind you guys of that. And ayahuasca is definitely what I've seen, more about anxiety, weight loss, softening into the feminine, being able to have and honor your emotions and feelings. Especially both men and women, but especially women, honoring more of their sacred sexuality, their beauty, their femininity, as well. So you can feel the effects depending on a lot of variables, actually. But you just want to make sure that, your first couple days as you start, don't plan on driving, or don't maybe plan on going to work. Some people will dose first thing in the morning and meditate. But you also want to be aware that you can have a mild detox when you start. So you want to make sure you stay hydrated. Of course, this goes without saying, make sure you use a medicine that there's no contraindications with the medications or supplements that you're taking. You should always consult a doctor or talk to me as a coach on this, because there can be sometimes I'll have clients stop taking certain supplements. There's also, ideal time frame is a consistent 30 days to start to see the effects. And then of course, I also encourage people to not overdo life. Maybe create some more spaciousness in your life, some more time in nature, more reflection time, more meditation, really speak to the medicine, develop a relationship with it. And remember that if you start on this path, I tell people you can try it for 30 days, like anything, right? A gym membership for 30 days, a supplement, a shake, a new kind of coffee, right? But if you want to see deep work and results for microdosing, a 3 to 6 month plan is really, really best. And, there's other things scattered in there that are really important. I coach a 5-day on, 2-day off model, or 4 days on, 3-day off model. You don't want to take it every day. Quite honestly, is, in my opinion, similarly with supplements and pharmaceuticals, you can build a tolerance. It can actually stop helping you, and just literally you'll be pooping and peeing money away. So that's my plan as well. So the other, I guess, qualifier is the deep dives are also called macro or therapeutic doses, is where you have more than the 500 milligrams of psilocybin and more of than 15 drops of the ayahuasca. That's where the visuals come in. And not for everyone, because not everyone sees visuals on plant medicine, but being able to have the somatic releases, being able to have the opportunity, like I've literally talked to a lot of dead people in my life, a lot. All of my friends that committed suicide, all of my parents now, I've had 3, my brother, I've made a lot of peace with a lot of people on the macro dose. So that's the difference between micro and macro. I just thought I'd mention that really quickly. Misconception number 2. This one I heard by people, especially if they came from an addiction background or an ADHD background. They hear these things on the internet, right? Misconception number 2, this medicine will fix my brain or deeply held trauma just by swallowing it. So all I got to do is swallow it and go about my day and do nothing different. That one probably troubles me the most because we are in a kind of a pill pushing society, instant gratification. That's not going to happen with microdosing. Ultimately, these are sacred, sentient being type plants that are not magic pills or a replacement for like any kind of supplement that you might be using for brain health. There may be a placebo effect when you first start, just like there can be with sugar pills, pharmaceuticals, any kind of product out there, but it's not going to fix your brain. It will slowly work on your gut brain, because your gut brain is actually your first brain. If you have good digestion, if you don't have a lot of pharmaceuticals that you're taking, you don't take a lot of other things that are competing for the time with your gut brain, then you can absolutely have some shifts. But your brain's not broken. It doesn't need to be fixed. Anything that has impacted the brain, like for myself, grief and trauma, really shut me down, shut my body down, shut my heart brain down, shut my gut brain down, because I coped with grief and trauma, unprocessed grief and unprocessed trauma, with drinking too much alcohol, a lot of stress in my life. I also truly believe that candida and different kind of shame and guilt and stuff from my childhood trauma were also blocking my ability to have, faster results. I've been in this space now for 3 years, and that first year I got some results, but I didn't really get lasting results until I added meditation, breath work, focusing on my gut health, cleansing with things like combo frog medicine helped cleanse my gut brain, get rid of the candida. You could probably do a candida cleanse, or, just clean up your nutrition as well. Whole fruits and vegetables, maybe a little bit lighter on the meats. I'm not a vegetarian, by the way, but I did naturally have less, specifically like beef in my diet over the past couple of years as I've started working on my gut brain health which also impacted the heart brain, which also impacted the head brain. So just remember that this medicine is not here to fix you. It's very subtle and works behind the scenes. It's what you do with it in co-creation of setting up sacred space. I did a podcast episode on actually how to create like an altar in your own ceremonial space. You can check that out on my YouTube channel to be able to help co-create. What is it that you want to let go of? And what is it that you want to call in? I had a client who did work with the ayahuasca. And she had a lot of childhood trauma with her parents around religion. And she had a big wake-up call in her adult life and realized, oh my gosh, I don't believe the same thing as my parents anymore. And it was really traumatic. And she actually hated God, hated church. I actually had the same thing happen for me. And she worked with ayahuasca and created up her own little sacred space and working on her passion. And she would dance with the medicine. She would play music with the medicine. And she felt so alive. Her spirituality came back just in 30 days. She also was really committed to her dream journal. Sometimes these medicines will speak to you through subconscious healing through your dream state. That's one of my favorites, especially with ayahuasca. So if you want to really heal, you got to work with the medicine, make sure you're getting enough sleep. Make sure if you follow some kind of nutrition protocol. I coach with my clients on that as well to make sure they're not drinking alcohol, not much caffeine on their on days. So like, that's why I also like the on days and the off days model. So you can have your cake and eat it too, whenever, your off days. You can indulge, you can have fun on your off days, but on your on days, really honoring your body. Your body is that temple, and it gives the medicine more to work with. It definitely helped with me on this journey of healing my relationship with alcohol, helping me get up earlier to meditate and do my prayers and affirmations. I sucked at meditating forever. Now I after 18 months straight of microdosing myself, I would get up in the morning, sit with the medicine and meditate. And it radically changed my life. So much changed by starting my day with the medicine and the meditation and the rituals. I've had lots of clients do that, and they feel so much more calm how you start your day. And if you can start it with the medicine, oh my gosh, it can help you really have that time for you. Don't touch your phone, don't check your email first thing in the morning. Just have that time with the medicine. And just knowing that it takes time you've probably heard of this if you've watched any documentaries, the default mode network, what we call ourselves going on autopilot. So Google default mode network if you want. That's been in full effect since our 20s. Our brain, our body is still developing until we're 25 to 30 years old. And then we're starting to be in autopilot. And since a lot of that was really even formulated between 0 and 18, you got a lot to break through. So if microdosing isn't making an impact within 2 to 3 months, then I would encourage you consider the deep dives. I tried microdosing 3 years ago. It did nothing for me because my gut brain was too riddled with candida, alcohol, stress, etc., that when I tried microdosing, it actually made things worse to some extent, and it scared me. That's why I stopped at that point. So just remember, if you really have deep trauma, excuse me, or deep grief, the deep dives is where I would have you start to help you with realigning all of those brains and opening up your heart, crying, somatic releases, things of that nature. Okay, last misconception. And then I think I'll go ahead and just kind of see where we're at with time. Just wanted to let you know these 3 misconceptions, because then I could coach and cover a lot of detail with each one, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So the third one, misconception or myth is my addictive behaviors or cravings for sugar, alcohol, other substances will magically disappear within 30 days of microdosing just by switching out the alcohol or the sugar for the microdosing, the pill or the tincture. And that one, I was shocked, and yet not too surprised because of my own addiction to alcohol and sugar in my lifetime. I had a couple clients who came to me and they were trying to transfer their alcohol habit to psilocybin or transfer their sugar habit to microdosing. And I'm not a big fan of transference. And guess what? Unfortunately, that won't work. I had a couple clients who tried it. And we want to heal the trauma. We want to find the root causes of these cravings. That's what I've helped myself and my clients do. We also know that these medicines, you don't want to be using alcohol or, having a high sugar diet or drinking too much coffee. So it is almost kind of like a natural detox, which is why some people have a detox symptoms, cleansing type flu-like symptoms sometimes in their first few days, depending on how healthy their gut is. But you really want to go inward and meditate with the medicine and ask the medicine, why am I addicted to alcohol? And meditate. Or why am I addicted to sugar? Why am I craving it? And by sitting and acknowledging and really meditating and journaling about any messages that may come through, and there could be audible messages, there could be, I'm claircognizant, so it's not like I hear anything, I just know it. Some people are clairvoyant, some people are clairsentient. You can also ask the medicine to show you signs throughout the day, synchronicities. You can also ask for it to show you things in your dream state. I've had a lot of really intense dreams while microdosing, and some of them were scary. So I was glad I had a spiritual mentor and an integration coach along the way. Otherwise, I might have stopped microdosing. But truly, a lot of what you can find out from the microdosing over a 3 to 6 month period will slowly change your relationship with food, sugar, alcohol, caffeine. Rome wasn't built in a day. You probably didn't become addicted overnight like me. And mine wasn't even planned. It was very unconscious because of grief and trauma. So just really make sure that if you do have an addiction that's pretty intense, like mine was, microdosing may not help you. That's why I stopped microdosing in my first month. And excuse me, I recognized that the deep dive information was going to be the best path for me. Going, to have like 3 to 5 grams of psilocybin or 2 to 3 cups of ayahuasca, and to just be quieting this mind right here and working in my heart. And the medicine does a lot of work in the gut brain as well, with the healing and then the purging, the cleansing of the body. The Body Keeps the Score. Has anybody read that book, When the Body Keeps the Score? I thought I'd just ask that question real quick. It's a great book if you haven't read it, When the Body Keeps the Score. That was one of the first books I read when I got into this space, because I wanted to understand, why was I on autopilot? What is this default mode network? And a lot of that is impacted by childhood trauma, mental and emotional pain body stuff, subconscious mind. A lot of people love studying Joe Dispenza, and all of that is great stuff. But if your body is still holding on to trauma and you're blocked in your gut brain, or you're blocked in your chakras, you're holding on to a lot of lower vibrational energies. Literally, I've puked a lot of that out. I've pooped a lot of that out, crying, shaking, and shivering, again, with a deep dive plant medicine within a ceremony, not on your own. And preferably, hopefully, with someone who's also a healer, who can protect and protect the space and have a sacred space and sacred setting. That's where a lot of my deepest work was shown to me. And then the purging came with that. So again, if you have a lot of trauma, a lot of grief, a lot of addiction, like I did, deep dives where it's at. if you just have subtle emotional stuff, subtle traumas, subtle things that keep repeating themselves over and over again, and you want to change, like your relationship with sugar or whatever, that's just causing some mild pain and suffering, then microdosing is a great path. And that would be my last thought, is you can do both. I did the macro dose or deep dive ceremony, and then the microdosing. There's an art to it, and some of it's intuitive, but definitely wouldn't recommend anybody doing that without some kind of an integration coach, or a plant medicine person who's been doing it for a while and has a heart for trauma, grief, and addiction recovery, and understands more about that. Yeah, and Jeff, it's a great book, and it's not an easy read. I'll be honest, I got only halfway through it, and I couldn't. There were so many examples of people and their traumas. I could read it now, and I may go back. But for me, I wasn't ready for all of the content, but I got the idea. It's a very, very meaty book. There's a lot of stuff in there, and it talks about the brain. It talks about trauma, and it talks about, how by releasing it somatically and embodying that shift in your life with love and compassion, that's where the true lasting change comes from. I know, I understand. Okay, cool. So that's my 3 myths. I'm just going to summarize them again one last time in case you're one of those note takers. Again, the first one was talking, hold on, I'm going back to my notes. Microdosing is enough medicine where you're going to trip out and see visuals and not be able to drive or have a normal workday or a normal life. That is not true. That is false. Misconception number 2 is it will fix my brain or deeply held trauma just by swallowing the medicine, and I just go about my day. Also false. And then the last one we just covered, my addictive behaviors or cravings for sugar, alcohol, or other substances will magically disappear just by switching to this medicine. Any questions? If you can, put them in the Q&A feature. Any questions, personal experiences, anything that I can support you guys with today? Hey, Zoe, good to see you. I just saw your name pop in. Any questions? Here we go. Thank you. I see it in the Q&A feature. Understanding that microdosing versus live ceremony is an art. Intuitive approach. What are some general hints that it might be time for a live ceremony? That's a great question. Because it's definitely very personal. The first, it's got to be a calling. I was an extreme example. I was devastated and wanted to die. So I needed to do something different than I had done my previous 42 years of life, right? We don't want anybody to really have to get there. If there is a calling in your heart, and you never want to do it because your friend is doing it. You never want to do it because your partner is doing it. I started and did it first 3 months, and then I invited my partner. Hey, do you want to help save our marriage? Hey, do you see value in this? Hey, do you think, because I'm afraid if you don't, I may go off into a whole nother realm and leave you behind. And he agreed that it was the right time for him. He felt the call. So peer pressure is not a good idea. It's just an intuitive knowing that maybe if there's any unfinished business with a past loved one, that this is a great way to do it. My husband's a medium. He channels dead people, but there's no substitute for going and being in the space and calling them in. Of course, they may not always come, but if there was any peace you needed to make with a past loved one or an ancestor, if you have some deeply held ancestral traumas, like in my family, they always said alcoholism runs in the family, autoimmune disease runs in the family. I never believed that. I believe that trauma and ancestral stuff that's stuck in my body is what runs in the family, the DNA, right, on both sides. If you feel like there's a lot of dysfunction in your family and you want to heal that within yourself, and by so doing, you heal your family. If you want to develop your healing gifts, my husband did that in spades. He never channeled paintings before plant medicine. He never spoke and channeled dead people, ghosts, spirits, before plant medicine. So if you want to exponentially pour rocket fuel on your spiritual awakening and your gifts that you're developing, that is a good thing. However, again, don't do it without a mentor or a coach, because plant medicine can also be very dangerous for that. You got to have space holders. You got to have books, coaches, mentors, spiritual teachers. Literally, my husband and I, we had a lot of fights during our plant medicine journey. We had to get individual support and guidance and coaches along the way. So if you're partnered or coupled, I'm just throwing that out there. It's really important to make sure you have guidance as you're going through, especially if you're developing spiritual gifts. Because I've seen people go bipolar. I've seen people go crazy because they didn't have a teacher or they didn't have support. My husband was starting to go there, but we were like, no, we got to get help. We got to get help. So I would also make sure when you sit in a deep dive ceremony, even myself, if you want to come sit with my husband, myself, interrogate us. How do we keep the space safe? How do we support you before? How do we support you after? Don't just go and do this with any random ceremonial person. Ask a lot of questions too before you sit with someone who's a space holder. Get a referral, but still interview them and ask them a lot of questions. So it's kind of a long answer, Anne. Did that answer your question? Yay. Beautiful. Oh gosh, I see another one. Have you heard of Silo Health? I haven't. I don't know what that is. Can you tell me more? Okay, I'll take a look at it. I'm guessing it's not a medicine, but it's another way of. Oh, cool. That's awesome. That is beautiful. Thank you for that. Yeah, I've had my own training, just so you know, is sitting with the medicine over 60 times, working with plant medicine mentors. Also got a shadow work certification, and then my background being in health and fitness. I have helped over 10,000 people get off medications, and then working with the spiritual component. I haven't, gone and checked out any other like certification programs, because I'm pretty solid with where I'm at, but thank you for sharing that information. Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. I will save that link. Anything else? Any other support? We've lost some people. Healing brain injuries. Okay, I did catch your hold on a second here. Okay. The thoughts on healing brain injuries. It's a great question, and it's not my area of expertise. I know when to fully admit that. I think it's possible. I'm still a big fan of the gut brain being a huge part of the whole spiritual and science component, even of head injury. But I do believe that deep dive work with a specialist who specializes in head brain injuries is what I would recommend if it were me. I wouldn't just go and sit with, some random shaman and do deep dive work. And I would definitely, I wouldn't even coach on that as a microdosing coach. I wouldn't want to take that on. I would really recommend something like that. It should be working with a specialist. Yeah, I would recommend finding someone who specializes in that. Unfortunately, I don't know anyone that I can think of right now. Ketamine, I did work with ketamine myself as a client of a psychedelic somatic therapist. I don't like, personally, this is just me. I think I have friends in the industry who are phenomenal coaches and healers, and I can refer you to them who only work with ketamine. I didn't like it because it's synthetic, number one. And number two, it took me like a couple of days to feel normal again. Whereas with deep dive mushrooms or ayahuasca, I bounced right back the next day. So for me, I rather work with the sacred plants who have this innate intelligence, who've been around for millions of years, as opposed to something that's more synthetic. But I know there's great results. Excuse me, sorry about that. I know there's great results. So I say, if you find a ketamine specialist, someone who's got great results, then I say, and if you feel called to it, same thing. Like if you feel the call, go for it and check it out. Jeff says, I'm curious your take on it as a comparison to what you already know, since I'm undergoing that course. Yeah, Jeff, if you want to email me, I'll give you my email address really quick. I'll give you my email address really quick in the chat. Email me. I'd be willing to, when I'm not conducting a webinar, maybe to hop on like a 15-minute call and just check in with you. And that's my gift to any of you here. There's only so much I can share on a webinar like this. There's only so much information, and I'm still learning. I am a student every day. I'm not some guru here trying to tell you I got it all figured out. I do have a lot of compassion and a lot of love and a deep relationship with these medicines. And these are part of the tools in my tool belt that I really want to help people heal with. So if I can be of service, if you want to hop on a call, there's my website. I just dropped dropped my link in the chat, and there is a consultation link on there, or you can just shoot me an email. Does anybody have any other questions? Or even comments. I'd love to close it out. Again, ibogaine is it's interesting because my husband's from West Africa. That's where his shamanic, ghost whispering, magical gifts hail from. So he protects the space. He can talk to your dead ancestors. He can do a lot of things in a ceremony. It's so beautiful. Yesterday we had a client who did a private with us, and my husband helped that client talk to their dead grandmother, who they always felt a connection to. And turns out this client was actually his grandmother's first husband. And so she had a lot of heartache when he died. This guy was struggling with a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, a lot of repressed traumas. And now he had like a major breakthrough, being able to talk to her and commune with her in that private session. So we love that kind of stuff. Ibogaine is not something we've studied. I've actually heard some really not good things about it, and I've heard some good things about it, especially for addiction. Addiction seems to be and I'm talking like hard heroin addicts, extreme alcoholics, drug addiction. That's the thing that I've seen, but I've also heard a lot of bad things about it. And you got to really be extra safe with who you sit with that uses it. I had someone who did it even in a clinic in Costa Rica, and she didn't sleep for days. And she was, pardon my French, these are her words, she was fucked up for 6 months. So I have zero interest in ibogaine until maybe we can, go to Africa and be trained in my husband's home country and really check into it some more. But I know it's great if you work with the right people. I don't know Datura, and I only know nightshades from the standpoint of food, like regular food, regular plants. Cool. Well, I'd like to share with you guys before you sign off, my vision for creating community, helping people honor these sacred plants in a healthy, mindful, and spiritually life-changing, lasting results, like to me, microdosing is not a hobby. Plant medicine is not recreational. You got to be ready to know whatever repressed traumas come up. My husband had some of the deepest, darkest repressed traumas that came up, but it explained a lot of issues we were having in our marriage. And so our passion is to help work with couples, especially. But in this community, we want people of all walks of life to be able to come together to heal together. So I can drop this link in the chat as well, but it's basically an affordable online wellness microdosing plant community. Now, keep in mind, if someone really wants deeper support, then I recommend my 30-day jumpstart. Then they graduate into the community. So I'm really doing a soft launch of it now for 2024. So you can be a part of kind of like the early adopters of this organization, of this healing community rather. It's for grief, inner child healing, addiction, and spiritual awakening. It's also here designed to help if you are doing deep dives and you maybe can't afford the $250 an hour that an integration coach charges. So being able to also have access to my online portal, I've got a lot of breathwork, Kundalini yoga, meditation classes, inner child healing, tapping into your superconscious, which helps develop your gifts, and talking about nutrition, because that's one of the biggest mistakes I see in the plant medicine space is people are really either overly spiritual about it or they're overly focused on the mental. And they forget about nourishing their body and taking care of their gut brain. And so I specialize in that with my background. So we're basically here to help you improve your health, your mental wellness, inner vitality, increase prosperity, deepen your sense of purpose, and so much more, all while you microdose. I've seen a lot of people waste money on microdosing and capsules and mushrooms. And also, after coming out of a deep dive journey, this is meant to help you. All of my clients who do deep dives with us, they get this included for 30 days after to be able to make sense of what they just unearthed, make sense of the trauma or the crying or the spiritual stuff that came through. It's not something that you can always talk to a therapist about, honestly. So we also have a legal ayahuasca medicine. That's my favorite. That is my number one recommendation. However, if you want to work with psilocybin, I have a great source for that as well. So this community has 24/7 on-demand class recordings. This class will be inside of there as well. I'll actually leave this. I decided I'll leave this recording up for anyone who's not a subscriber to access this recording for the next 72 hours. And then it's going to go inside of my community. So you guys can watch the replay for the next 72 hours. So if you know someone or yourself that's struggling with grief recovery, addictive behaviors, inner child trauma around your mother, father wounds, ancestral, generational trauma, have any religion wounds, like I talked about earlier, balancing the feminine and masculine hemispheres of your brain. And it's also really help you to wake up to your unique truth and purpose, getting to that root cause of what is holding you back. Whatever's holding you back is not allowing you to shine your light and to live your true nature and purpose. So we have 2 tiers, whichever one that fits you. You have $197 a month or $497 a month. The higher one includes superfoods to help you with cellular detoxing and gut brain, and then also some additional support in small groups, online, a Signal app community, which is like WhatsApp, but it's on Signal. So I'll drop that link in the chat in case you want to join. I do have a required screening call and medical intake form to make sure that this is even the right thing for you. Like I said, there are some contraindications and people this is definitely not right for. So I want to safety first, do no harm, kind of my background in fitness, a lot of HIPAA compliance. I'm going to protect you and make sure you do the right thing for you. So we also give money to a great cause for every person that becomes a member, a subscriber. Every month we give money back to Mindology, which is a mental wellness center, helping prevent suicide, which is a big thing for me since I've now lost 12 friends to suicide. I'll drop this link in the chat. There's a lot of testimonials on here with people who struggled with alcohol and sugar addiction, as well as other testimonials from people all around the world. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Does anybody have any more questions? Thanks, Jeff. No problem. I'll be emailing this out to all of you in the next day, and then you'll have the whole weekend to watch the replay. Any other questions? Thanks, Anne. Any other thoughts? If not, I'd love for you to type in the chat one of your biggest takeaways. What was your biggest takeaway today, or something that maybe got cleared up for you? Biggest takeaway or something that got cleared up for you. Yeah. Yay. Wonderful. Beautiful. I will say my next deep dive that I'm facilitating with my beautiful husband is December 9th here in San Diego. If you want to get away from the cold winters, depending, I know not everyone is here from cold winter type climates. And we have all sorts of exciting things coming up for 2024. So if you want to stay on my email list, stay in touch, subscribe to my YouTube channel, feel free to do so. And I do these classes once a month. I may actually do them more because we're heading into seasonal affective disorder. A lot of people struggle through the holidays, so I may do a couple classes a month to kind of just help people out and get some inspiration and some hope and some tools to be able to help you navigate into finishing this year strong. Great question, Zoe. I don't have any plans, although I have always said have mushrooms will travel. If you refer someone who can host, we prefer private homes, someone who has a big enough home in Florida and are willing to, pay for our trip. And we would have pricing based upon how many people per head is going to make a difference. We like to keep groups small, 8 or less anyway. So depending on how many people, we'd be willing to fly to Florida and serve, wherever we possibly can. Oh, sweet. Yeah, sure. I'm down. I have lots of connections. Actually, I have some microdosing clients, and I have a private client here right now from Florida that came all this way. I'm sure she would love it if we were in the Florida market, so she didn't have to take her whole day to fly here. Cool. That'd be great. Shoot me a message on LinkedIn or email me. All right. I don't think nope, I didn't send that. I'll just throw this in the chat one more time. This site has all of the information about my 30-day jumpstart, about my ceremonies, about previous education, previous webinars, if you want to consume some more content. And then if you're interested, excuse me, in my Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise microdosing subscription community, I really want to grow that big. I am also looking for referral partners. I know, Anne, you're already an affiliate for me. If anyone would like to be paid residual income for referring people into my community, then I would welcome your referrals so that we can help heal the world together. We can link arms together. No one succeeds alone, and I would be honored to have your support for that as well. Okay. Cool. That's not the same Jeff that was on here, was it? Okay. Cool. I got you. Thank you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. And I wish you many blessings this holiday season, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye for now.